House File 5040. Representative Anderson, if you could present your bill. So Representative Anderson moves House File 5040. And I see there's a DE1 amendment. Representative Anderson, is that your amendment?
It is.
Okay. So Representative Anderson moves House File 5040. Representative Anderson now moves the DE1 amendment, H5040 DE1. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion prevails. We now have the bill before us as amended to your bill. Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll start out with the amendment. So after this bill was filed, and there's been two, there's actually a clone. We have 70 authors in the House. This is completely bipartisan. In the Senate, it's the same way. It's completely bipartisan. After we filed, we met with the Department of Revenue. We wanted to talk through, the functionality of this. We wanted to make sure this would not be any burden on the Department of Revenue. We wanted to go over any sort of data practices issues, et cetera. And so they were wonderful, and we worked together, and we've came up with the DE, which just includes language. Really, it's kind of how it would be done. I can answer questions if people have specific things, but we call this a Take It Back Act. As we know, there have been huge sums of money that have been stolen by fraudsters from our public programs. Those dollars belong to the taxpayers. Those dollars belong to taxpayers. They should be either given back to the taxpayers or spent on public programs, which is the original intent that we had as a legislature, that they would be spent on people who need them. Instead, we have had a huge amount of fraud, taking those dollars, spending them and personal things, wasting them. I mean, we all know what's been going on. The Take It Back Act says we want our money back. So if you are convicted of fraud in a court, defrauding our public programs in the state of Minnesota, you will have to pay 100% tax on those dollars that they find that you stole. 100%. This is how we get our money back. Right now, there's potentially courts are ordering some restitution, but they're not ordering all the dollars back to the state and to the citizens of Minnesota. So that's what this is. This is a bill that says if you're going to defraud public programs, there's going to be a huge penalty, and it's going to come in the form of a tax increase or a tax on the entire amount that you defrauded state taxpayers. I can stand for questions. I do want to report this bill passed the Senate Tax Committee, and then it went to Judiciary. They didn't have any other changes. It passed unanimously. It's bipartisan in the Senate. It's sitting on the General Register, and I understand this language was included in the omnibus tax bill that was released this morning, or was going to be released if it hasn't been yet, by the Senate. So they are completely on board in the Senate. It's 100% bipartisan. I don't know if you have any questions of the Department of Revenue, but they can answer any if folks have. So.
Okay, thank you, Representative Anderson. Is there anyone in the audience wish to testify for the bill or with concerns? Would the department like to weigh in? Yeah, I mean, okay, please join us at the table.
Representative Anderson won the lottery.
Man, she's good. She's good. Please state your name and who you represent for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Joanna Bears. I'm the Legislative Director for the Department of Revenue. And Mr. Chair, members, we just want to thank Representative Anderson and Senator Drazkowski for working with us on this. When we first saw the bill, they reached out, and we just really appreciate their partnership to make sure that we can administer something like this. And so just want to say thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Questions for members? We're on the members' questions. Representative Joachim and then Hollins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And while the Department of Revenue is up, could you maybe please explain a little bit how this would be administered?
Ms. Bears.
Sure. Mr. Chair, Representative, so one of the things that we currently do, so there's two parts to this. One is 100% tax and one is a penalty. So if there is a conviction of tax fraud, that agency would certify the amount of the conviction, they would send it to us, and then we'd apply 100% tax through a tax order or tax adjustment. The penalty piece comes through when we are reviewing returns or we get a tip, as a lot of the time that occurs, and we review it and find that there's program fraud, then we can assess up to, assess 100% penalty. So a lot of that comes through our normal work that we're currently doing, as working with the BCA and others on any kind of fraud issues.
Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just curious.
Thank you. Representative Hollins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple of questions on this. The first one is, I'm interested in this penalty piece because it has been my experience that there is quite a significant lag time between filing periods and when you incur some sort of penalty. And so I'm wondering, is this actually more effective than, say, what the courts are doing in asking to pay restitution? Given that, I made a mistake on my taxes once, and the state of Minnesota got back to me like 3 years later and were like, hey, you need to pay $700. So I'm wondering, is this the most effective way of going about it? And then my second question is, I find this letter that's in our packet very compelling. The idea that the money would go back to the general fund as opposed to the specific program that it was taken from. I think it's a valid question, right? Like nobody's more upset about this than those of us who allocated that money, right, to the place that it was supposed to go to take care of the people of Minnesota. And so I think it's pretty compelling to say that we should move any money that is recovered from that fraud to go back into that program to help support the people who actually need it. Less of a question, more of a statement, but the first one is a question.
Okay, any response from the
Thank you,
author?
Representative, what's your first question again was?
Representative Hollins.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair. The first question was sort of the lag in time, and is this the most effective way of getting sort of that penalty through, as opposed to the restitution process that the courts put in place as soon as somebody is convicted of fraud?
Representative Anderson,
want me to-
or
Either way. We could both, thank you, Mr. Chair, and then Representative Hollins. We can both answer that. We'll probably answer slightly different. This is over and above a restitution order. So this is money it's 100% tax on 100% of the fraud that they are convicted of. So this is over and above any restitution order. I think Ms. Beers can talk about the ability of the Department of Revenue to actually be quicker in going after these dollars than an order for restitution, which is, on their time rather than forced. So,
Ms. Bears.
Mr. Chair, Representative, so the way when we looked at this, we did it in a way that was legal, that we felt that was legally sound and that we could administer in an efficient way. And so I think when a conviction comes over, we'll be able to assess that tax right away. That wouldn't take, we'd be able to see it and we'd assess it right away. With the penalty, it's going to come as we would find other types of program fraud. And so, we have our own criminal investigation that does a lot of that work, which is based on, like I mentioned before, tips and other information that we have available. And so there's maybe some lag time, but we also think that, with the general public notifying us of tips, we're a little quicker than just a regular audit would be.
Representative Hollins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so that gets to a further question. Sorry, as I dig into this, I have more and more questions. So if we're looking at things based on tips from the public, isn't there a risk that right, in the penalty situation, right, isn't there a risk that there will be a bunch of maybe unverified tips that are then sending the department down these rabbit holes that waste a lot of taxpayer time and money to look into what may be fraud but may not be? I kind of worry, anytime I hear a tip situation, I worry about bad faith actors and, sending them after people they don't like.
Representative Anderson.
Thank you. I'll start, and then I think we'll go. There's two parts that, one is the convicted, so that's not a tip. That is an absolute conviction of fraud for a set dollar amount.
Which I think,
That's the main thing. The other is the tip, and I think Ms. Bears can talk about the fact that they probably get them all the time, and you can't just act on a tip, but yeah.
Ms. Bears?
Mr. Chair, Representative, yes, we already have a tip line where folks can submit their tips, so if you hear anything, please use that tip line. We also get information from other agencies as well, as they will report under the executive order by the governor that was issued in October. Every agency that suspects some type of fraud that's being submitted to the BCA also has to report to the Department of Revenue. And so we're getting them from a lot of different areas and always review thoroughly when we receive those, regardless of where we get it from.
Representative Hollins?
no further questions, thank you.
Representative Lee?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention, because I'm the author of the Fraud Restitution Fund, which passed last year, kind of curious the order of operations here, because we also want to make sure that that fund, gets the money it needs so that we can compensate people, regular Minnesotans who have been frauded.
Representative Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know the answer to that, maybe.
Ms. Bears?
Mr. Chair, Representative, so it would go by priority. When we have a lien filed for a claim for any type of tax, there's a priority set in statute. So, without knowing for sure, it was likely that restitution would probably get collected first. It really depends on, the court, things like that. So it would likely go with restitution, we'd likely get the restitution, and then any other kind of encumbrance that might be, or, priority that's taken regarding what type of property it is and who filed it. But I would assume most of the time it's restitution that's taken first, and then ours would come into play, depending other factors.
Representative Lee? Representative Smith?
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to clarify. So this is not just fraud that is involving public money. This is tax fraud across all sectors, like a private company that's not getting any public money but is convicted of tax fraud, of lying on its reports or something along those lines. This bill would also apply to those organizations as well?
Ms. Bears?
Mr. Chair, Representative, no. So we already do tax fraud in general tax fraud. This extra 100% penalty would only apply to public fund fraud. So like any public funds that were found to be fraudulent, that's when that penalty would apply. And it would only apply to the funds. So if there was tax fraud that was mixed in, we'd only apply it to the amount that would have been considered public funds. If that makes sense. It wouldn't be to all of the taxes.
Representative Smith?
Okay, no, that's helpful. That's my question.
Representative Whitty?
Thank you, Chair Davids, and thank you, Representative Anderson, for bringing it. First of all, impressive to have 78 co-authors like that. So, but we've talked a lot about fraud, and I guess obviously we want to do. I'm in favor of doing whatever we can to prevent the fraud from happening. Ms. Bears, do you think this is a good tool that's going to help you guys identify some of the fraud that we've seen in the state?
Ms. Bears?
Mr. Chair, Representative, I think it's another tool in our toolbox that we can use to help with the fraud, yes.
Representative Whitty?
Thank you. And I, I think that's part of, as we're looking at this and how expansive it is, it's hoping you guys have the tools to act on it and help the taxpayers of Minnesota. So thank you.
Any other questions for members? And thank you, Ms. Bears, for your help here. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'd like to wrap it up. Representative Anderson.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. One of the main things I hear from, and I know we all do, from our residents is, what happened to all the money and we want it back. This is one way that we can start getting the money back. We need to make fraud expensive for fraudsters. We need to do everything we can so that they think twice about defrauding our programs. And this is one other tool that we can use to have them think twice and maybe not do it in the first place, and also to get some of these public dollars back to our citizens. So I ask for your support. I wish we're trying to just get this sent to the general register, but I don't know if that's going to happen today. So, is the plan to lay the bill over?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your bill. You've done a lot of work on this, and Representative Anderson renews her motion on House File 5040 as amended be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus tax bill. Thank you, Representative Anderson. And Joanna Bears for your help on that one.